There we go.
OK, there's another pretty disturbing story in the papers today. Did you realise that more the prime cause of death among men under the age of 45 is suicide now? I mean, it is just staggering. You know, that report that was out this week also, which said that that young white boys are the ones who are being left behind educationally in terms of getting jobs as they get older. And it just seems a terrible social trend that where they're becoming this minority, often a majority, but who are just let down by every single part of society.
There's an argument for looking at how we gender our services, and the argument being that services have long been gendered for women. So certain services are targeted at women, very specifically targeted at women, and actually mental health services, and what this newspaper article says, has failed to reach men. It's failed to target it. And if it was, what the article says is, if it was a shaving foam company rather than the NHS, it would have, you know, it would have had to target at men better.
I'm tempted to say perhaps we should have International Men's Day.
you might be tempted to say that. It wouldn't help any of these people.
I raised that obviously because you had a ferocious argument with a Tory MP who went for you. And then you had a horrible lot of trolling online. And so you've had a very, very rough week, and it's picked up, I think, by The Observer. Barbara Ellen, The Observer, talks about it. It is. And so tell us a bit about what happened.
Well, I mean, you know, like many people before me, like you, I'm sure, people threatened to rape, bind and gag me on the internet this week because I spoke from a feminist perspective, which apparently is anathema. And what Barbara Ellen says in her piece is that it's just another newspaper story about just another woman getting newspaper threats, and we've all just got used to that.
We have become sort of anaesthetised to it, haven't we? I mean, I just now, when I look at the comments online or social media, I seldom do. But sometimes, just for fun, I see how many times I'm going to be raped and how many times they're going to kill me.
I mean, because I don't read below the line. However, I was getting direct emails from people saying that they hoped I came home and found my sons hanging, which is interesting when talking about, you know, my sons are 7 and 10. So
did you leave Twitter, Amanda? I can't remember.
I've never done Twitter. I don't do anything like that, Facebook or anything like that. Because it's just an invitation for. Well, I mean, you never get anything nice. It's just so relentlessly horrible.
Some people will say there's a bit of double standards here. You're admiring those hunky rugby players in their shorts, and if I was a bloke saying, "Oh, I love Wimbledon for those shorts," I would get absolute torrents of it.
I don't care. When Amanda says it isn't backed up by, you know, years and years and years of only being seen as a sex object. So women speaking about men is completely different.
Quite nice that men are being seen as sex objects now.
Go on, gang up on me. That's fine. Absolutely fine. Where are we going next? Sport equality?
So sport equality, talking
related directly to that.
I mean, it's not all just about men and balls. I'm pleased to say that there seems to be real strides in improving women's role in sports. 30% of...
This is the woman in charge of tennis, I think.
The woman in charge of tennis. And there's been, you know, this summer, actually, there has been quite a lot of coverage of women in sports.
There is football and everything, and it's really changing. And lots of girls are now playing rugby, which really astounded me. I mean...
I think we've
got... Women's rugby is really taking off,
But they can't... be suspicious. You can't do that. I'm just thinking that we're a little bit more tender on the front than men are.
Yeah, but they're tender elsewhere, aren't they?
I think it's mostly not what they call non-contact rugby. I don't think it's scrums.
What's the point of it if there's no contact?
Well, there's reasons to be cheerful.
OK, we're talking about men. Here is a man who struggles with Parkinson's and cancer and stuff. We're all very moved by the great Billy Connolly.
I think he's one of those people who's just kind of universally loved.
Indeed.
And this amazing thing that he's been, with a fountain pen, he's been writing letters to his grandchildren since before they were born, and telling them, because he knows that they will not have him as part of their life. But his whole thing, it's not about him dying. It's all about him saying, it's a wonderful world, and this is what you need to cherish in it. And isn't that
Did you
the
see
best
that great
gift
film
ever?
where he was playing an old man who dies on the beach?
Yes.
And he said he's a Viking, so his 2 kids put him onto a boat, send him off and burn him. It's what we did on our holidays, I think it's
But
called.
it's such a sweet story.
OK, well, now we're close to running out of time, but we have time for Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet,
as we always do, yes.
Who's saying that her children should put down the iPads and get off social media. Now, obviously,
good on her.
Well, you say good on her. I say good on her for not wanting her children to be exposed to potentially some of the stuff we've already talked about. However, any mum knows that an iPad is a mum's best friend. I wouldn't be able to do any of the work that I have to do at home if it weren't for some of the devices. But, I mean, I see what she's saying around social media. It's because she's starring in the film that is going to be produced about Steve Jobs, and she doesn't like her children having strangers talking to her.
But also imagine all the stuff that they'd read online about her when she gets trolled.
My main concern, I don't give a monkey's what these idiots say to me, but, my 7-year-old presses the Siri button
and
says Jess Phillips because he likes to look at newspaper articles about me. And if he sees people threatening his life as well, and that's pretty awful. So I can see where Kate Winslet comes from, but, I won't be telling my kids to put the iPad down.
Nobody is going to troll either of you for that brilliant paper review. Thank you both very much indeed.